The teams are lined up for the kickoff. He sets up for the return. Let's see if he can break one wide open. Oh, and he breaks open field in front of him. The 10. And that's a touchdown. Man, once he saw daylight, he was gone. The kickoff team didn't even know what hit him.
If you've been around playing sports games for as long as I have, then you will remember the heyday of kind of arcade sports games back in the day. You know, things like NBA Jam, which everybody knows about, of course, but also Wayne Gretzky's ice hockey games, Virtua Tennis, Beach Spikers, and Sega Soccer Slam from Sega itself. And they were all really good, entertaining, couch multiplayer kind of focused sports games. They were about the multiplayer experience, they were about pressing buttons and having a good time, and they were as simple as that, and that was really enough for us back in those days, because it was particularly difficult to create proper realistic simulations of sports games because physics engines were simpler, AI routines were simpler, and the controllers themselves didn't have as many functions on them. So it was very difficult for the likes of EA and other developers creating realistic sports games to really do the sport justice. So a lot of developers instead decided to do the big arcade thing and go with the action and the silly fun, and that was the way that things were done. These days things are reversed a bit. You know, simulation games are kind of the default, and it's rare for a developer to really try to do an arcade local local multiplayer experience. And part of the reason is that I guess those games tended to be more limited in terms of the depth and the length of play that you'd get out of them. They were designed for short bursts of fun, and then you put them down and not pick them up again for a while. Whereas the more serious simulation games are designed to drown hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of your time, and are quite effective at doing that. So it's hard for the arcade games to compete. With that said, there is occasionally an attempt by a developer or publisher to do an arcade-style sports game, and that brings us to Mutant Football League, which is the one that you're watching here in front of you. Unfortunately, anybody looking forward to a glorious return of the days of Sega Soccer Slam and NFL Blitz, and I think that was what Midlay's one was called, was it? NFL Blitz, the arcade NFL game to counter Madden. There was a lot of those kinds of sports games around. But anybody who was hoping that Mutant Football League would be a return to those glory days will be sorely disappointed, I think, because this game is really trash. It's just not enjoyable to play. I'm sorry to say. So this is one of my more negative videos and reviews. What I will say first up is that I am playing this on the easiest difficulty mode for the footage, because that was what I started out on, and I recorded the footage from my first couple of games. I can confirm that from later plays that the game does get much more difficult. You can up the difficulty level, it will give you a greater challenge, and the AI is competent enough to make sure that you're not going to roll over every match and all that kind of stuff, which I guess is important, but kind of missing the point. What you're seeing in front of the screen in front of you is not necessarily representative of the game's maximum difficulty, because I'm winning way too easily, but it is representative of the game's tone and quality, and it is a messy game. Like, I find it really difficult to watch because it's overly busy on the eyes. It's hard to really keep track of the action. I had to turn the speed of the game right down to its lowest setting because it was just hard to track everything that was going on, and the backgrounds are overly detailed, and there's just the aesthetics of it are all out. I get that they're trying to make this kind of gritty, ugly, trashy, B-grade kind of mutants, Toxic Avengers style aesthetic. I get that they're trying to go for all of that kind of stuff, but it comes at the expense of the playability of the game, and I don't find it enjoyable. It plays like a basic NFL game, in that as you would have seen from some of the clips, you do pick a play from a playbook at the start, and then if you execute the play well, you'll make the ground you need to get a first down and all that kind of stuff. There are penalties if you break the rules and all that kind of stuff, but because this is an arcade game, it encourages you to break the rules by giving you weapons in your playbook. You can do these kind of illicit moves that are designed to cause maximum impact to your opponent's side. You can actually kill their players and all that kind of stuff. You can bribe the referee so that he'll give you penalties when you didn't really deserve them. And there's all of that kind of meta stuff in there, and all of that gives it an arcade-ish tone. But again, it's just not executed very well. It's just, it's so frustrating to because I wanted this to be enjoyable, and it looks like a game that I would actually quite enjoy. I like American football, and I like arcade, sports games. I have fond memories of playing these things as a youngster. But yeah, there's also a lack of depth in the game. Aside from a couple of different exhibition modes, so aside from being able to play with friends, aside from a very basic kind of competition mode, there's just not a whole lot of depth to the game. So frankly, if you want this kind of mutants and hard-hitting kind of football experience, you're actually better off getting the turn-based strategy game Blood Bowl, which has all of this kind of violence and excess and breaking the rules of NFL whenever it feels like it wants to, but it does so in a much more enjoyable context, and it does so with a much cleaner presentation, and it's just a much more enjoyable game. So unfortunately, I can't recommend this one, but hopefully with my next video I'll have a better thing to say about whatever game I'm playing. Thanks very much for watching.